Hey everyone, this is Prattski, and I wanted to share some of the highlights that I saw in this last Black Friday's update from Kingdom Death. I am still waiting on a couple of different waves from that second campaign, the 1.5 campaign, and this was the first Kickstarter that I was a part of with Kingdom Death. I wasn't a part of the first one, so I don't know what Adam Poot's communication was like with that, but I've heard it wasn't amazing, or at least very frequent. And on this campaign, it hasn't been frequent at all either. It's very, very rare that we get something. But on Black Friday, which it seems like that's kind of one of his biggest times for updates and sales and things like that, he sent out an update that was just huge. Huge. The email, you can scroll that thing for quite some time. And so I got really excited about it. It definitely is making me more motivated to bust it out and get back into a campaign. But even more so excited about all the future updates that are coming with the Gambler's Chest, Wave 3, and then with all of the new expansions and new things that are coming in Wave 4. Looks like we really don't have a timeline still on when those are going to be. He did mention that they're going to be delayed just a little bit, but how much it is, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm sure it's going to be worth the wait though, because some of these things are awesome. Now, I bought the Black Lantern, whatever it was called. It was a lantern pledge where I got the core game and I got the Gambler's Chest, and it was $300. It was, I think that's what it was. I think my pledge was, I'm kind of forgetting all the details now, but anyway, I just remember that the Gambler's Chest was 100 and the base game I think was 200. I didn't make it fast enough because I didn't see the campaign until it actually had been a few days into it, but there was a Black Friday pledge that was like $50 less, but it was all sold out. And I kept watching that thing, and eventually I saw that one was available, and I changed my pledge and saved $50, which that was pretty cool. So ultimately, I got the base game and the Gambler's Chest for $250. That was pretty. The base game alone sells retail for $400, so that was pretty exciting. But let's dive into some of the details here, and let's first talk about the Gambler's Chest. So this was something that was sold as a $100 add-on, and throughout the campaign, every day he would roll some dice, and depending on some, I think, hidden table that he had, if the result was good, it added something to this Gambler's Chest. And you didn't really know what it was, especially if you were an early backer to it. And so we saw just thing after thing after thing after thing be added to this thing, and it ended up becoming huge. I think he actually increased the price on it later on for people who were coming into the campaign later, because it just grew and grew and grew. So in the email that he sent out, there's a huge list of all the different models and stuff that are being included in that, and they're looking great. There's a ton. I wish I would have remembered how many different minis are coming in the Gambler's Chest, but it's a lot. I want to say it was somewhere around 80 something, but don't quote me on that. I don't remember. I just know that there's a lot of stuff. And one of the big things is a nemesis called the Gambler, and I'll show you some pictures here, but the thing looks amazing. The Gambler, he's holding this huge ball on his head, and it says that this ball is made of 252 people, all just kind of tangled together to form the outside of this ball. And yeah, I mean, I'm really curious what that fight is going to look like and what the lore around that is going to be, but it looks amazing, as you can see from what I just showed you here. So Gambler's Chest, I'm excited about it and everything that's included. I'm really interested in some of the more details around what else comes with it. Is he including other cool settlement events or whatnot, different gear cards for some of the minis? Who knows? But we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Advanced Kingdom Death. Now, this is something that looks like it could be just fascinating. It's like a new flavor to the game, a new way to play. With what he has listed, it sounds like there's going to be some sort of milestone that you'll have to reach or achieve on an existing campaign. And once you achieve that goal, there will be a new strain of survivor that triggers a new type of campaign. And in this new campaign, there's 2 totally new decks of cards that will take the place of, I believe, the innovations and the fighting arts, I think. I know for the fighting arts for sure, but it seems like it's going to be a little bit more objective-based cards. Like, here, I'll show you a picture of what, kind of the sneak peek of what it shows. But there's little boxes on it, and it seems like once you achieve that particular thing on the card X number of times, however many boxes there are, then you will be able to add something new to the deck. And these decks will kind of morph and change how the campaign plays out. There's also kind of a tease at the end there where it looks like there'll be, the same enemies really, but maybe like a new approach, or that they have a new purpose or something like that. And I don't know if that's going to include new AI cards, or maybe it's just lore based. We don't know at this point, but it looks really interesting. Adam says that he's really wants to get it down right, and that he needs more time to kind of perfect this vision that he has for it. But I mean, Kingdom Death is already huge in its possibilities. All the different campaigns have very different flavors, and that's all exciting. But to have even more, I'm all for it. Let's bring it on. So, Advanced Kingdom Death, that's coming. Campaigns of Death expansion. So this is something that I've got that I purchased, and this looks like it's going to be pretty awesome. So one of the things that it's going to do is upgrades all of the 12 previous expansions that were a part of the first Kickstarter campaign. It's going to come with new cards, and that could be AI cards, hit location cards, settlement event cards, gear cards. It's going to, I think the point is to kind of fix maybe a couple of the little bugs or quirks that might exist, add more lore, add some more excitement, some more flavor to the fights and what they provide. And I'm pumped about that. I almost have all of the 12 expansions. I picked up the ones that I was missing on the Black Friday sale that they had on the website. So I got a good deal on those. Those should be coming at some point. You kind of never really know. Sometimes it takes them a while to fulfill their orders, but I'm fine with it. It also comes with a 150-page hardcore book. That's a lot. Every one of the 12 previous expansions is going to have an entry there. There's going to be some new details, maybe new rules, some new lore, some cleaned up lore perhaps, that will try to bring those up to date with the 1.5 content, and really just add some clarity to around what's going on and how they fit into the bigger story and the bigger picture of the world of Kingdom Death. So that's really exciting. And this Campaigns of Death thing has grown to be much bigger scope than Poots had anticipated. Originally, the disadvantage of recording video on your iPhone is that if you don't turn off or don't put it into airplane mode, if you get a call, say goodbye to your video. That just happened. My wife called. So let's get back into it. Okay, so I was last saying, originally in the campaign, the Campaigns of Death expansion was being sold for $40. It's grown so much now that anybody else who wants it at the discounted rate has to pick it up for $125. So if you got it early, sounds like we're getting a great deal on that, and that's pretty exciting. So Campaigns of Death, I am just pumped about that. It comes also with new campaigns and new ways to play, and I mean it expands Kingdom Death even more, which again, that's just the options in this game are becoming insane. As part of the Campaigns of Death, I want to more specifically point out this strain system that he's talking about. And this is a node system which allows for easier creation of custom campaigns. So my understanding from what I've seen is that it comes with different cards that he will supply for all of the previous 12 expansions, and all of the new ones will come with these cards as well. And somehow, some system with using these cards will allow you to put together a custom campaign. Maybe it's going to have the option to shuffle and kind of do it randomly and kind of see what monsters are going to be a part of it. Or maybe there's some sort of system in play that will allow you to maintain balance in the campaigns with the over 20 expansions now that are going to exist for this game. I don't really know. But it'll be really exciting to see what that looks like. Another really interesting thing that he mentioned about this was that there's going to be an ability now to affect the world of Kingdom Death between expansions. Not expansions, between campaigns. So you might finish a campaign and the result of it may have done something, had kind of like a permanent effect on the world of Kingdom Death, and that will carry over to whatever next campaign that you decide to play. What carries over? I don't know. We don't know the details of that yet, but that could be something that's really exciting to see. Again, we're just expanding what this game has to offer, and the campaign's already huge enough, but if you can kind of chain campaigns together with interesting effects that happen with what happened previously, that just sounds really exciting, and I'm really excited to see what that's all about. Okay, so I covered that. There was also a huge update on all of the pinups. Now, I'm not into the pinups. They don't really. I think some of them might offer a small little piece to the game, like a promo card or gear, or maybe a settlement card or something like that. But for the most part, they're just very provocative versions of some of the models that are there, and some new stuff. So there was a ton of pictures and stuff of what's coming for that, but I don't have any of them, and I'm not getting any of them, so I'm just gonna skip over those. But for those of you that like them, just know that there's a huge update for them. Okay, so then we've got some of the expansions. He didn't give updates on all of them, but on some of them that I found most notable are the following. So the first hero expansion. One thing that he showed here was an interesting card that looks like it's part of an enemy fight, where a lot of enemies will have traits, especially as they get more difficult. As you progress through the game, they get more traits that affect how the monster fights, what they do, how do they react to things. And one thing that we saw here was an equipment card. And it looks like that some of these bosses may have an ability to have different pieces of equipment that appear, that looks like it will affect the basic action of the monster. And this is a really cool idea. I mean, the basic action is a cool idea of something to kind of fall back on. Or, different AI cards may say, do this and this and this, and then perform a basic action. But if that basic action can actually have some very interesting variations depending on what weapon that enemy is holding, that could be really fun. So I'll show a picture of that and what that looks like here. So, check that out. I mean, that looks like it could be really cool. So I'm pumped about that. The Screaming God expansion. The model looks awesome. I'm really pumped about that. But one thing about the showdown in this particular expansion is that it's constantly going to be moving. It looks like there are rows of screaming antelopes or something that will be moving along the board, and you're having to avoid them, or it might even mean death. I don't know, but that will be a really interesting thing, to always have to be on the move, because some of these showdowns can consist of one or more characters standing on top of a giant stone face, just unloading arrows, you know, or it's just fairly low movement. But in this, we'll see. But that sounds like a really cool concept. I mean, anything that changes up and adds variety to the showdowns, I'm all for, and so that's something I'm pumped about. The Black Knight expansion. This one looks very interesting. There's some sort of elastic effect that the boss will use. It talks about elastomer statues. And the pictures that they show almost make it look like there's some sort of pinball effect that survivors may be being slammed up against these things, and then they send you flying maybe in a different direction, or maybe back in the direction you came from. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be the type of thing where you have to be really careful to not end up being bounced or launched off the showdown board. So that's very cool. It also looks like there's a totally different type of showdown setup. I'll show the pictures here, but it looks like this is going to be, modular tiles, and I don't know if these are going to sit on top of the showdown board, or if this is just a totally separate thing that we're going to do apart from the showdown board, or what. But it definitely looks interesting, and again, more variety that we can add, the better. So that seems really cool. The Nightmare Ram expansion. I was not originally going to get this expansion. There's a handful of them that I'm not getting. I think in total I've got maybe 10 of the new expansions coming. This wasn't one of them, and now it is. And the reason I picked this one up was that there's going to be no hunt phase for this. And instead of the hunt phase, you're actually going to have to work your way through a dungeon instead to be able to get to the boss room for this particular monster. And I'm a huge proponent of dungeon crawls, and Kingdom Death isn't totally that. But if there's an aspect of it that works within the Kingdom Death world, and that's how you got to get to this monster, that sounds sweet. So I hope that ends up being really cool. The frog, this one's more humorous. I just thought I'd mention it, but the Frog Dog expansion, that model, it looks like hideous, but at the same time hideously awesome. But it actually comes with a fart deck. And I don't know if this is the AI deck, and he's just calling it the fart deck instead, or if that's an actual separate deck that we'll have to deal with. I don't know, but I would not have thought that we would be going up against monster farts in Kingdom Death, but sure enough, Poots has brought it. So let's do it. Let's fight the gas together. And lastly, the Ivory Dragon. Poots has said this is the biggest model yet. For those of you that have the Dragon King expansion, you know that model is huge. But this one is going to be even bigger. So you almost got to kind of get it because of that. So I know it's on my list. Anyway, that is it for Kingdom Death. If you have not explored Kingdom Death at all, it's obviously not for everybody. I would eventually like to do a review on it, but it's just such a huge game with so many facets that I've been really intimidated to do it. So I think I have it in the plans here to start doing some playthroughs of some sessions where I'll start a new campaign, and we'll see how far we can get. But for me, it's definitely in my top 3 games for sure. I have a thing for this game. The experience that you get, the randomization, the story that can be told from your experiences going through these different campaigns is just kind of unparalleled, in my opinion. And the one big bummer about the game is that the price point is just so high. I definitely have spent more on this game than any other game that I own by a long shot. And I have a hard time seeing that I will spend that much on any other game. But this has really provided me with such an amazing experience so far, and it's just blossoming out to be even bigger and bigger and bigger that it was worth it to me. And once Wave 4 completes, I won't have every expansion that Kingdom Death has to offer, but I think in total I'll have, 22 expansions. So it's going to be just an unbelievable amount of content that we'll have for that. But anyway, that's the update. If you hadn't seen it yet, you can go check it out and find it on the Kingdom Death 1.5 Kickstarter page. I'll link to it in the description below, so you can kind of go take a look. But it had been a long time since we got an update, but what we got here was pretty amazing. I'm really excited about it, and I hope you are too. So anyway, that's it from me. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.